welcome everyone to this new HR lunch break, which is a fireside chat about the organization of the future. Today, I am so pleased to have two amazing guest speakers, Lien from AIA Vietnam, the life insurance, and Mr. Abhishek Mathur, who is from BNG Corporation. I will let them introduce themselves after in a few moments. But I'm so happy about having those two guest speakers today because they are coming from two different industries. One that is more digital, tech, very dynamic, while the other is coming from a more traditional background, the life insurance, who had to make the switch between paperwork and digital world. So I think those two backgrounds, two industries will be very insightful for everyone here. So please stay until the end. It's going to last for 1 p.m. For 1 hour, so until 1 p.m. Before we start, I would like to just introduce HR Lunch Break. It's a format that is brought to you by Tide Consulting, Dreamplex, and AIA Vietnam. AIA Vietnam is a life insurance that has been around for 20 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lien. And it aims at bringing healthier life to you. So feel free to check their website and their social media. It's a great life insurance and very dynamic. Dreamplex is a co-working space, the leading co-working space here in Ho Chi Minh City. They are opening 3 new offices soon in the coming month. And Tide Consulting is a firm that I created last year, who provides HR trainings in communication, leadership development, and employee experience. I accelerate the growth of companies by developing your people. That's basically what I do. And I created the HR Lunch Break because in this time, in the lockdown time, I thought that it was very important to gather a community and exchange ideas on how we can support each other, how we can support our people, our families, but also our teams. And exchange some knowledge. It doesn't matter if you're coming from you have senior experiences or you're new to the industry. It's super important to just contribute your knowledge and your perspective on the situation. So we've come up with this format, and this is the 3rd season about future of work. And especially all these events are focused on Vietnam and Southeast Asia because there are so many knowledge on the internet about hybrid work, the future of work, organization of the future, and all those new HR terms that are growing on the internet, but there is not so many that is specific to Vietnam and Southeast Asia. So that's why we have this HR lunch break that is brought to you. So today's topic is the organization of the future. To give you a little bit of background, moving very fast forward, but we are coming from a very hierarchical model of work where there's a top that gives order to the bottom, that hires and gives orders to a bottom, a large bottom. And with the 4th industrial revolution, which is the rise of technology, it has changed our mode of work, which are more and more flattened. And we've realized that there is not one person's perspective is not enough anymore to drive a business. But the problem is that tech is developing more exponentially. It's moving fast, while human is developing not as fast as the tech, which cause some problems of discrepancies, where the human would not adapt that fast to the technology, to the market, to the disruptions, and that created some imbalance. But thanks to coronavirus, kind of thanks. It accelerated the development of human, and we have adapted to our new ways of working, like working from home, having more flexible hours, prioritizing our self-care more than our work. Our work is still important, but we are testing the limits of the balance between productivity and our mental health. So that's one of the advantages of the current lockdown. And I think that at the end, it's the idea for each business is not to apply hybrid work or flexible work, but the idea is to find the right balance between tech and the human development, because that's where the profit is for your business. And to know how to reach that balance, it's important to see what your people want, and to get some knowledge from experienced people who went through that change. Welcome, Lien and Abby. Thank you so much for being here and accepting my invitation to this HR lunch break. Can you present yourself and tell us something unique about yourself? Lien? Yes.
All right, lady first. Actually, I invite Abhishek, but okay, let me start. So for those who I know, so hi from me, and I hope one day soon we can see each other in flesh and send you virtual hug from me, given the lockdown situations. For those who I haven't got a chance to know yet, hi, I'm Lien. I'm Kim from AIA. So back to Dana say something unique about me. I talking about HR career. I have worked in consumer good for most of the time when I was much younger. And then after that, I joined AIA 4 years ago only, and this is the first financial service company I worked with since then, 4 years. And before I worked like whole career life in consumer goods. So then I told that insurance is more traditional way, which is yes, but in the past, no more today. So I came from consumer goods to financial. It could be the huge change for me in the way my learning journey is absorbed since then. So that is the most unique thing for me. And I love to be here with you. And I hope that Friday lunchtime, so be casual. That's why I put on my AA t-shirt. And Abhishek also said that, yes, let's put something about casual. And I hope that today we can have a very casual section. Enjoy the section, enjoy the Friday noontime. Cheers.
Cheers, Lien. Thank you so much, Abby.
Hey, thank you so much, Eileen and Denise. First of all, thank you for having me. So Dreamplex, Denise, and AIA for hosting this event and having me here. And thank you for all the participants. I know it's lunchtime, but each one of you is taking this opportunity to just be with us and learn from our experiences. And the same goes for us. I'm looking forward to the interaction and learning from each one of you. Just a little bit about myself. So unlike Eileen, I'm not one industry person. I've had an opportunity to work in different industries and also had an opportunity to work in different countries. So in the last 8 years that I moved out of India, I've had an opportunity to work in Vietnam, Australia, Singapore, and I'm here back with a different industry, which is technology, which is something which it's technology, entertainment, fintech, which we'll talk about. So that's something a little about me. I've been in Vietnam now just about a year. I came last year from Singapore, and I loved every bit of it when we were obviously being able to move around domestically. And I'm looking forward to, as Eileen said, come back and meet people physically. face to face. So looking forward to the conversation, and over to you, Denise.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Abby.
I'm a fan of Charles Darwin. So one of the quotes from Darwin is, "It's not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent, but the one that is most adaptable to change." And last 1.5 years is actually, you can actually see, instead of species, you can just put in organization, and that's what is true as to the organizations which have been adaptable are the ones which will survive, and but not only survive but thrive as we go forward. I know, Chung, you mentioned, Dennis, you mentioned about what's the organization of the future looks like. So you want us to continue with that theme, and then I can share some of my thoughts, and then we can move forward from there. So that's the organization of the future. To me, is the one which is adaptable to change. It's flexible, it's agile, and that's the reason why I've absolutely used that image. In my view, I think from an organization perspective, and I think you touched upon briefly when you were introducing the topic, is there are 3 things the organization of the future will be focusing on. And I call it the 3 Ws, which is work, workforce, and workplace, right? You spoke about the work from a work perspective, the synergy between machine/technology and humans. It's the last 18 months has given us that opportunity for the organizations to use transformation, what we call it the digital transformation, to do that, and we will see a lot more of that happening. I think from a workforce perspective, now what we have seen, that everybody can work remotely. I think the mix of the workforce is going to change. We already have what we call as the gig economy, where there are freelancers and contract staff, etc., that is happening. And I think for organizations to tap into talent, not only in the city that you are in or the country that you are in, but I think tapping into talent globally is an opportunity that, if organizations are not using it right now, they probably will not be the change. They have to change, and therefore they'll fall back. And last but not the least, it's workplace. We have been operating from our homes, and therefore the utility of the workplace will change. It will become more collaborative spaces rather than what we used to have is we used to personalize our workspaces. They may no longer be the situation. And therefore, organizations and employees who are not willing to adapt and change to this will probably fall back. So I'll leave that with that thought and pass it on to Irene.
Thank you, Abby.
Thanks,
Abby.
Right. So
why did you choose the image number B?
This image is quite I could be very quick. Connection is that this image resonate directly to AAA. We want to live healthier, longer, better life. We want to make that momentum in our work. And like Abby just shared, that I will not repeat, we want to make our working environment as in hybrid model, where people go there, they can work, and they can, we have the exercise, we have the gym in the office, and even now people working at home. I know that people also have to spend time, not only work, and have to balance in the work out as well. So this image tell a lot on how we can help our employees to integrate their personal life into work in the new model that Abby just described. And we bring that momentum to help our employees to focus on the physical, mental health. So that is more about resonate to AA perspective, and I'm sure resonate to the other many companies.
So let's start the fireside chat with the first question that I wanted to ask you both. Coming from those 2 images, like what do you envision of the organization of the future concretely, and how do you plan to achieve it? This is how it looks, but how do you concretely do to roll out the organization of the future?
Right. Abhishek, I start first. Yeah.
Please go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. We're talking about organization of the future. We start envisioning it since second half of last year. Vietnam was big as the foreigner, I mean the pilot market of AA Group, and we was the pilot runner for this huge project, organization of the future. And I recall at that time in July last year, when Vietnam was still in a very better status in terms of COVID-19 outbreak, comparing with the other country in the world. So at that time, answering the question, why we have to do this, it was not easy at all. It was not easy to make the message cut through in more than 1,000 employees of A Vietnam, how we can win people's mind and their heart, and pitching for me or for my leadership team, for my CEO, stand up and pitching and why and what we want to create an organization of the future is not easy. But now, right in the day, right now, during this month, when we have been fiercely fighting with the outbreak, I strongly believe that all people in my AAA team can say that, yes, we do need a simpler, faster, and more connected organization to help us in any circumstance. We can move faster, we can reallocate our resource faster and more dynamic. I don't mean that we build our organization of the future due to the pandemic. I don't mean that at all, but in reality, the pandemic underlined the urgency of being more flexible, more dynamic talents and workforce who can optimize the TDA as the core power. The TDA, I mean, you're familiar with TDA, technology, digital analytics, right? As a core power to serve our customer best, to bring the best experience and benefit to our customer. When we're talking about Net Promoter Score, straight through process. That's why I said, Dennis, insurance is not traditional any longer. We really want to optimize TDA and drive productivity and innovation. So that is what I just simply paint the picture, and how actually, okay, conscious of time, I think I give focus on two big focus top of my mind is the model operating model and talents. So that is two areas we will focus on to build how. So first, on the operating model, we focus on simplification, no more bureaucratic. We try to reduce as much as possible hierarchy in our organization, and we do granular analysis. I mean, detail analysis from bottom up, and we're very clear on what Lean structure, layer, and free up manager role. We want to give strong empowerment instead of task-based management, right? And transform backbone process, and we try to simplify as much as possible. So that is a simplification, and so far we achieved something already. So now we have only 5 layers in our organization, 5 layers from CEO down in my organization, and then we flat organization, and we just try to achieve. And now we achieve 15% of our workforce is manager role. So the rest 85%, that is the specialists who contribute and perform directly. The second one is agility. So in parallel with simplification, I just mentioned, we implement team concept. So result orientation instead of hierarchy, and dynamic team and flexible resource. The team built around end-to-end accountability and leadership, and the leadership that you direct and enabler action. You know, so with this concept, we do some strategic, we focus on some strategic priorities and multiply across organization, follow different flavor of agility. So with this, the sales management team, etc. So that is the working, that is the working model. And talents, similar what Abhi just shared, we focus on internally. We're talking about how we can hold our talents in the heart of decision, um, in the heart of whatever we make decision, whatever we design the process, design the career path, etc., and making sure that the best employee experience. So we focus on 100% change management capability building, how we can have accelerate TDA, and we personalize the curate digital and analytics curriculums by target group of employees. So, yeah, digital savvy workforce and the TDA job holder or non-TDA job holder. Like me, I'm not a non-TDA job holder. So what capability do I need? So the second thing is the purposeful culture. So again, more than anywhere else, I think today there are two things from a business perspective. We have to answer the question is, what is our core, our vital purpose for being, right? For Vietnam, for AA, we want to do helping millions of Vietnamese to live healthier, longer, better life. So from the employee perspective, we want to connect that purpose to our people. And I want to ask myself, and I want my colleagues also to ask the questions. What is a meaningful working day to me, to them? And how we can help people to link them and resonate the company purpose to their own. So that is what and how we have done so far for a year already.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Lien. How about you, Abhi, at the GenZ Corporation?
Yeah. So as I shared the adaptive and the 3 Ws, I think for VNG and for I think most organizations, in order to build an organization of the future, you have to create a very interesting why we need to change. And I've seen that in Vietnam, where it's the why is now coming to home in the last 4 months. The last 1 year, Vietnam was business as usual, while the world was changing. And the mindset here in Vietnam was still that we continue doing the way we were doing. It's only in the last 4 months, I think it is, the message is coming home by saying that I think we need to change. And as HR professionals and change agents, that's from a VNG perspective, that's one of the things that we are looking at, is changing the mindset. And how you change the mindset is by doing certain pilots, certain experimentations with people who are like-minded. So therefore, to give you some examples on the 3 Ws, right? So let's talk about the workplace. We are expanding regionally. And one of the things that we were looking at, opening offices, buying, renting out real estate and things like that while we are hiring employees. But this all changed because we feel that we don't need real estate to come together if we are small. People can absolutely work from home. And if they want to gather, Dreamplex is here. Co-working spaces are a great model to get people together once a week, etc. And that's one of the things that we have changed in our approach in the country that we are expanding, is we will no longer rent out real estate, etc. We will go the co-working space model and expand. After we have obviously have a certain critical mass, then we will look at how we look at real estate. But that's the change, and that's probably the organization of the futures will not have huge amount of real estate, but they will have flexibility on that. So that's one. From the workforce perspective, I think at an organization, we have always had a good mix of a contract staff and freelancers. And that is something that we are now talking to some of our business leaders while we plan for next year to say, what kind of a mix are you looking at for next year? We typically have about 18 to 20% of our staff in that flexible work model. But looking at how we have operated in the last 4 months, can we push that model going forward. And that is going to be one of the areas that we will discuss with a few business leaders who are open to experiment and pilot it out. And then again, in terms of the work itself, we've had typically managers saying that, to give you an example, I think a lot of us have pivoted to that, but interviews have to be face-to-face. And that has been the traditional way that we have always hired. But just to change and say that that's the new way of hiring is virtual, and there are different ways and processes that we can set up using technology, and you can still hire and you can still onboard and you can still create the same kind of traction between the candidate or the employee are some of the things that we have been able to build, so that in the last 4 months we've gone ahead and hired from our university hires. We have hired middle managers, and we have hired CXOs who are not only in Vietnam, but they have been hired in other countries, and they have onboarded, and it's work as normal. As compared to if you looked at last year, where we had those 3 weeks of lockdown, we had said that, okay, let's wait and watch about our hiring, and we pushed some of our hiring before we could make our. But this year we said no, that's normal, and we went ahead, we worked with our manager. So it's about getting that mindset, sharing some of the things that are happening around the world and why we should be pivoting ourselves. Otherwise, we will, if we don't adapt, if we don't change with the times, we will probably be left out. So I think those were some of the things that we are doing in VNG. It's not only about the things that you do, but it's the how you do it along with your business leaders and managers is also important.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it's interesting, this change of mindset from the past 4 months of lockdown has made you rethink your strategies on how to expand regionally. And for AIA, it's really about how to use technology to accelerate the TDA and rethinking but you're coming from an operation model that is simplified. So that's thank you so much for sharing that. You're both coming from two very dynamic markets, the life insurance and the online entertainment. They are both growing very rapidly. How do you develop the agility of your people?
Actually, this is something I want to learn from Abhi too, because I know he came from a very, modernized online entertainment industry, and I know VNG is very well known in Vietnam. But Abhi, so from from my perspective, from AAA, I think two industry, two different approach to agility, right? So I think since last year, for me, it's just a year already, but VNG can be for years, given the digital organization. For us, we very clear on building up both agility knowledge and skill set to our people by target audience like I share for leaders, for TDA, for non-TDA. However, I experienced so far is, I'm not sure you have experienced the same, that agile is a simple concept, but it's so hard, so extremely hard to apply. After a year, I just up and down, because we can't just stop our people head. This is agile knowledge. You can name many: agile 101, fundamental agile, advanced agile, etc. And people just become agile. It's impossible, right? Because doing agile and being agile is something. It's different. It's all about, to me, it's all about mindset. And having a right mindset, you help us to reach to the right skill set, to the right knowledge. So it's very critical to have a very comprehensive, holistic strategy in place, starting with strategy, structure, process, people, and technology. I mean, this is a 5 key phases: strategy, structure, people, process, and technology at the same time to transform organization to work agility. So within limited time, I think let me focus on the people, because today with the HR, I hope all the audience came from people for the people purpose as well. So to me, I think we have empowerment mean be able to solve the issue and ownership for the issue from end to end, right? The second is the can-do attitude. Stop analyzing too much, stop planning too much, but instead we try and test, and we accept the fail and learns. So how can you create a safe environment for our people to fail? Safe environment for our people fail and learn. The third thing is collaboration. Collaborations, it's easy to say, but in the agile concept, we have to open for shared knowledge, transparency. We cooperate within the team and across different teams. The fourth one is entrepreneur mindset, in entrepreneur spirits. That's the reason why we said that 80% of our workforce should be in specialist, because everyone have to hold the entrepreneur spirit. Leaders, managers don't play the control role, don't play the master role anymore, but leader and managers, you should be the catalyst for action. So it's employee, you hold accountability over controlling. The freedom. So as long as we can transform that, that is an example for people in my perspective and in my experience so far. So as long as we can transform 5 key phases that I just sharing, that about the strategy, structure, people, process, and technology, so we can provide fundamental agility knowledge, we should be able to nurture our people become agile. So that is my perspective, that is my experience so far. But Abby, you may have different because you came from that organization.
No, you've covered pretty much how an agile environment is pretty much made. So just from a BNG context, right? So the 17 that you're seeing on we just completed 17 years last week as an organization, right? So we celebrated 17 years, and we have still kept the startup mentality over the last 17 years. So we have had, obviously, there are businesses like game business and the Zalo business, which are mature businesses, but we have the new startup businesses like Zalo Pay, which is the fintech and the cloud services. But as an organization, our key punchline is embracing challenges, which is all about having the passion, having an innovation spirit, and as you mentioned about the entrepreneurial mindset, right? And that's exactly how, as an organization, we approach. We have a very fairly decentralized approach, and therefore accountability and responsibility go hand in hand for our people. And therefore agility has not been that much of a challenge, because everyone takes that ownership and responsibility. But that's one aspect of the structure and the people. In my view, I think the 3 things that will help develop agility, apart from the culture piece, is why do you want the why of developing an agility, right? What's in it? So why do you want people to be agile? Why can't they just be happy in doing what they are doing? But why? And that goes back to the environment that we are in, the industry, the technology industry that we are in. It's changing so rapidly that if we don't change, we will be dinosaurs really fast. So just constant communication and explaining the why of the change is important, and therefore people understand the reason for change. The second is, I think, the continuous learning culture. So while we spoke about the culture of entrepreneurship, etc., but I think in the technologies industry, I think we were lucky where most of our employees have that desire to learn something new. One, because the technology is changing so fast and that they need to keep themselves abreast with the new technology. So just continuing the continuous learning culture, and to celebrate that continuous learning and reward that kind of process, I think is something that is important in order for you to have an agile process, agile development. And then the third is from an HR perspective, I think, is to provide the right infrastructure and the tools for continuous learning. Gone are the days where we used to have classroom trainings where everybody just used to come to the classroom and that's about it. Now it's learning at everywhere, anytime, at the pace at which you want. And therefore the virtual learning and the e-learning modules and the courses are something that needs to be used in order to develop individual learning paths for those individuals, for your employees. And that's where you need that partnership with your learning and development team, the HR business partners, and your business leaders to create that. And once you have that linked to the competencies that you need to develop for future business needs, you have an agile environment. You develop people who are continuous learners and therefore will adapt the agile way of working. So that's the journey that we've started and we are on in VNG to help our employees be more agile.
I see. So basically, what matters for the HR teams is really to create an environment where people are safe, to feel safe, to try, fail, have their entrepreneurial mindset to shine and try new projects and suggest, offer new ideas to the business, contribute their new ideas. It's about continuous learning and constant communication, always telling them why, the reason why an action is implemented. Because our brains, basically naturally, our brains wants to understand what happens, right, in our environment all the time, constantly. So if it's just like top to bottom directives, you're like, why? And it's actually happening during the lockdown, right? From the Vietnamese government, like, why do we have to stay that long? And that's a question, right? And this can create like some uncertainty. But we won't go into that debate. Like you're both in a very dynamic markets, and being agile, it's also about being a, how do you say, like, you're young, it's a young companies, right? You're adapting to your environment, and with the organization of the future that you're both driving, where does the Generation Z stand? We've seen that during the lockdown in the West, the Generation Z has been strongly impacted. And following the lockdown, there was a lot of actions that were implemented for them to be re-energized because they were digitally exhausted or had some mental health issues. And coming from that, like, how do you do to include in your organization different generations? Because it's not about only the Gen Z or the millennials or the Generation Alpha. It's also about having this space where everybody can collaborate. So how do you do that?
I guess I would like to hear from Abby first, because I'm sure his organization much younger than mine. Is that?
Sure. No, it is. I'm probably one of the oldest in the organization. So, and I'm still young, by the way.
Yes, you are.
but yes. So so we have close to about 95% population, which are millennials or Gen Zs, right? So you have about 85% millennials, about 10% Gen Zs, and the rest are what you call as Gen X and Gen X. We don't have
85.
Yes.
85%
millennials and 10% Gen Zs, right? Gen Zs are 97 and who are born after 97. So just to give you today, actually, so since you spoke about mental health, today actually in VNG, we have actually given everybody in VNG across our locations a recharge day. So it's actually, today is the only reason why I'm in front of a computer is because of this call. Otherwise, we've basically given all our employees today to just take a step back, reconnect with the families, friends, and whatever they think that they need to unplug and recharge. And that's, I think, something what the Gen Zs and probably millennials look at, right? It's important for them to connect to the higher purpose. But that's not only for Gen Zs, actually. If you look at any generation, they all want to do something which is higher, which is a higher purpose. Like I think what Eileen was mentioning, the purpose is very important. It's not only Gen Zs, but I think in my view, it's across all generations that they connect with the higher purpose, right? So there, I think three things, again, if I look at across generations, what employees are looking for is meaning, something which has a higher purpose. Learning and growth opportunities. I think that's across all generations. They want to have an opportunity to learn new things and grow, and a fair compensation. I think those are the three things that kind of span across the three things across generations. The thing that is very special to Gen Zs or millennials is a sense of community. They like, so it's not, I think the Gen X and the baby boomers, etc., can operate in an individual silo, so to speak, right? Because of but I think it's the millennials, and it's the sense of community that they crave and they like. It's the sense of appreciation, recognition, and Gen Zs are obviously a instant gratification generation, right? And therefore they like immediate feedback. They like to know where they stand. They like to know what is happening. They like to be informed and be so the FOMO aspect is very, very high in Gen Zs, right? So they need to be, so FOMO for others, it's fear of missing out. So I think those are some of the things which kind of look at with the, so therefore from an organization standpoint, and especially from NHR, it is the whole communication aspect. It is about reaching out and sharing what the strategy, what's the objectives, what's the higher purpose which gets connected, and then the different means of communication. You and I, probably Eileen, are okay with an email communication. I don't have an Instagram or a TikTok or a Facebook account, but that's what Gen Zs use, and therefore the communication through some of those channels are how we would need to reach out to them and things like that. So using multiple communication channels to reach out to the different generations. The other aspect is your benefits program needs to address that as well, and have to have that flexibility. Somebody who is in their late 30s or late 40s should ideally have a different benefits program, because they will have a family and things like that. And how, as organizations in the future, in my view, you will have a very customized benefits program. Like whatever you think as an employee you need, we should be able to customize that. Probably insurance at 30 plus might become a little more, but somebody who's 18, 20, they would require something else. And therefore, as organizations, are we able to customize our benefit programs accordingly? So that's, I think those are some of the things I have some thoughts on the Gen Z and the generations. Would love to hear from Eileen as well.
Yeah, right. Abby, I think it's quite similar with what when you with us, with me, with AAA, we'll be talking about benefits and and create some environment. But I love you have Friday today, and is that every week? If you
no, this is this is one day after like 4 months, because we all have been working from home.
Okay.
Give everybody.
Because every week I came to BNG now. Well, a little bit different. I mean, quite similar on the way we design benefit. We want to personalize and with some different target audience, with the segmentation by when we're talking about generation, right? But for AA, we are around 80% of our workforce is Gen Z and Millennium. So for me, I totally agree with you that we try to label this is a difference, but in somehow everyone is same. Every generation almost the same, right? Yes, I do love Gen Z. I do love Gen Millennium because I love their color, their energy. They're there to be our norm and they're there to be different and a lot more, right? So with me, I with AA, I think we create a dynamic working place where everyone can be fit, can be the best version of them. So for example, when we're talking a simplification organization, we have dual career because we're talking about manager and specialist, and everyone want to be manager. Gen Z, millennium, baby boomer asked me, want to be a leader, want to be manager. But we said that no, only 15% of our workforce is managers. So not many positions. How we can create the dual career for both specialist and manager, and specialists, you also see the future and you can grow up as fast as you want. So I think in somehow we tackle and address those. So dual career is one thing quite bold and unique for AA so far. So when I said one motto in our organization that what we want our customer feel is what we want our employees to feel first. So the North Star of our organization is the North Star of our organization of the future is that we want to design everything for employees. When we, for example, we understand that post-pandemic, the workforce will be reshaped as a result of what we have learned, what we have been taught in the last 2 years. So it's now or never that we have to concentrate on reskill and upskill. Reskill and upskill our workforce. And Abby, you mentioned about learning culture. So we create truly hybrid working model, giving our people the choice to contribute and send a belonging, send a purposeful, and send a community, as you said. And most of all is the care. And I think in AA, we are quite famous and popular about care, and we really do care. And I would put care as a top of mind, top of every works that people talk about AA. So we want to just to make sure that we don't want to leave anyone behind. So talking about the difference about the generation, Dennis, and I think in our environment, we want to make sure that all generation can fit in.
Yeah, and you're doing that as Abby mentioned, you're doing that in a common ground. There's a common ground where there's needs that are common for all the generations, feeling connected, learning and growing, having a fair compensation, but and also like specific needs to generations, where there's more feeling of community, of being cared. And there is something that really struck me when we were actually preparing this event with Lien, is that she said, oh, I trust you. There is a Kang who is in the audience. He said, oh, I trust whatever he's saying I have to do, I just trust him. And this is something that is very important, right? To trust the people that are taking care of their mission. And this is very empowering and very precious. And this, if you have any advice on how to trust your people, because it's scary, right, to trust. So how do you do that?
For me, I think I back to the moment, the motto of my life is that if you want people to treat you, you need to treat people. You know,
yes.
You want people to trust you, you need to trust people first. And of course, everyone wants to be trusted. Then I will put the trust. When I meet anyone, I will trust them firstly. So if you put in the working place, I'm not so sure how many of my colleagues joined today. And I think the trust came from you first. You have to start first. Even you have to accept the difference of the people. Don't judge. You have to difference. We're talking about learning culture again. I like that from AB. We create environment for people to fail. So when people fail and you lose trust, no. It's just difference that they just need more time to bounce back and to be themselves in the better version they want to be. So I think start from you. Start from you and then you can influence that and build that culture from the top down, from the leadership, my CEO and my LT. Also hold that momentum, hold that principle too. And by the way, you're talking about trust. We're talking about great place to work. And in a great place to work institution, they measure trust index. And you recall me about that just today, Friday. Yes, on Monday this week, we received the good news from Great Place to Work is that AA again, the fourth time, consecutive 4 years, we are Great Place to Work, certified Great Place to Work by Great Place to Work institution, and they measure trust index that, so we build up across from top down, across function. And of course, I cannot say we are perfectly trust. Yes, here and there, we have that something is just always that life. But from time to time, we want to build that culture across in organization.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abhi. Abhi, do you have any advice on how to build a trust relationship with your teams?
I think Eileen did cover it's for me. I think it's I believe that everyone has a positive side, and you have to therefore look at the positive in individuals, and that's where you provide the trust. And I think once you start trusting, you will receive the same trust. It's how I look at it. And that's worked for me, and that's how when I do coach people, that's what I say. Just change your lens and change your perspective. Don't once you start changing the lens with which you look at an individual, you will start, your actions will change, and you will receive the same kind of love and trust back. So
this is the power of coaching and trust. Thank you so much for answering those questions. It's 4 minutes to 1 p.m. I really want to finish at 1 p.m. but thank you so much everyone for sending all those questions. We have time for one question, so I will take a question that you both can answer it to. It's a question from Vin. Everyone emphasizes the teamwork, collaboration culture. However, most of Vietnamese people admit that teamwork is something not in the DNA of our people yet. How do you train people and transform this reality into this expected working culture?
You want to take that, Eileen?
Yeah.
Or you want?
Over to you, or I can.
Okay, I can share some of my experience. It's not easy. Let me start by saying it's absolutely because these are intangibles to a certain extent, right? You can't say that yes, I've become a very team-oriented and a collaborative work team. But what are some of the metrics that you can put in? So if you can put a little bit of tangible metrics around this, then you can say that, because I believe that whatever gets measured gets done. Till the time you keep it fuzzy, people will not be able to get it. So some of the ways you can put collaboration as part is one, when you can actually do surveys. So you can do either pulse surveys or employee engagement surveys, and you can have a section around collaboration, whether it's collaboration within teams, whether it's collaboration which is cross-functional, whether it's collaboration within business units. You can have these questions, and most of the employee engagement surveys do have a section around collaboration, but you can actually run pulse surveys in terms of doing that. The second is, first you need to understand why collaboration is important, because there are times where collaboration can become a lot more bureaucratic hassle, and it can actually lead to delay in deadlines, right? So the first thing that you need to answer as an HR person or as a business person is, why do you want collaboration? most often than not, collaboration and teamwork is required to get diverse perspectives, right? And leverage from each other's strengths in order to therefore get the optimal and the best solution. But if you are looking for a specific project which is which has deadline challenges, which you know what has to be done, then you don't need collaboration. Don't force collaboration on people, right? So I think the first is, again, coming back to why you need that. And once you have answered that, yes, I need collaboration because of that, then have that conversation that this is how we would work. We will respect diverse ideas. This is how we will actually run our meetings for collaboration, and then put measures. How did the project go? Feedback, as I said, through surveys are some of the ways in which you can actually do. And after a point in time, you will probably see collaborative teams are also have more fulfilled employees, because they all believe that they are their contribution is recognized. They're making meaningful contribution, rather than just a hierarchical way of just get things done.
Yeah,
so I think some of those aspects are how one could build a collaborative and teamwork culture.
Yeah, it's coming back to the purpose. Lien, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just very quick one. I love all the approach from Abhi, which is make very good sense to me. But Vinh, the question from Vinh, right? It's not about Vietnamese DNA, not about teamwork. It's happened everywhere. I have 3 years working overseas. It's happening everywhere. So come back to what Abhi just shared. And remember, we have to create environment, and don't force, nudge. Go back to your strategy and leadership. Create that environment, and we have built for years. The muscle come for years. It's not overnight. And all the tips and more tactics go along. But yes, it needs more time, and not about Vietnamese only. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like before, it's not only about the generation. Here it's not only about the culture, it's not about the nationality. It takes a lot of effort to build the collaboration and the teamwork, right? So if you're dedicated, you will succeed to do that, Vinh. Thank you so much to both of you for this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy your reach out day, Abhi, with your family, and Jian also, if you have the time. Thank you so much to all the audience who came today. Feel free to like the Dreamplex page, AI Vietnam page, and Tide Consulting page. We are both on Facebook, LinkedIn. We have
and
websites.
VNG too.
And VNG also, VNG Corporation also. Send them like happy birthday cards for their 17 years.